All right. So, oops.
Good start.
Welcome, everybody, to Natty 19.
Well, I thought I had an intro written out, but I
We've
guess
got
I
everybody
don't.
here this evening. Looking around the table, I see.
Do I have anything? Oh, my God.
Did I do any prep?
Did I do anything?
Where am I?
Everything will be just fine.
Let's fucking do this.
Ooh, it's fucking hot again. Still.
Yes, it is warm.
It is. We're amidst another heat wave here. Not nearly as
cooled
bad
off
as the
outside,
last
though.
one. Yeah. Not nearly as bad as the last one. Welcome back, everyone, to the Natty 19 podcast. I'm Jonathan Marshall.
Are you sure about that? You seem a little apprehensive.
I wanted to do it in a different tone. We're back, full crew.
Hello.
Surprisingly.
We're all here.
That was me. I was
Yeah,
gonna.
where are you phoning in from, K-Way? Kentucky?
Kentucky.
Traveling man.
K-Way is modular. He's our modular player. He tunes in from various states.
I think we have a few fans in Kentucky.
Nice. What's up, people in Kentucky?
Yeah, you guys in Kentucky, if you
Kentuckans.
can find K-Way tonight, you get a bonus prize.
Getting inspiration.
I'll be long gone, though.
All right, so a quick recap. We left off after encountering a Flaming Fist patrol. They were finishing off a group of Dimetrodons, and those are now there's two different fin-back dinosaurs. Okay, we were saying that the Dimetrodons were like the Spinos and Ark. They're actually not. The Dimetrodons, they have the fin, but instead of like 4 legs, they have 2 legs and 2 arms. They're like...
Are they more like a Pachycephalosaurus?
Yes.
Well, I think in
No.
reality, a Spinosaurus has the short arms, walks upright. larger than a
Spinosauruses
T-Rex,
are also
and then the
much
s-
larger.
Yeah, they're huge. And then the
Yeah,
other ones are
Spinosaurus have the big
4-legged with
teeth.
the spine.
Those are the Dimetrodons. And you approached them. You showed them your charter of exploration. What else? Oh, yeah, you looked over some map details with them, and you managed to... it was all in all, it was a pretty good encounter.
With the Dimetrodons.
No, with the Dimetrodons died in that encounter.
Wasn't good for them.
We showed them our map.
They went to Dimetrodon heaven.
And then you continued the rest of the day, and then Quincy, you cast for the first time ever a tent or a shelter spell.
Lemon's tiny hut.
Now, is that... I don't want, without going too far into the weeds, is that something you can do now as level 5? Or
It is.
Okay.
When I leveled up to 5, I am now able to cast 3rd level spells, and that was the 3rd level spell that I chose to learn. It just seemed like it could be really handy if we're caught without our supplies.
Yeah.
It also helps protect us against encounters, overnight encounters, so that if we've had a rough day and we are kind of torn up a little bit, give us a good long rest.
Yep. No, that's definitely awesome. While we're on the topic, you guys hit level 5 kind of mid-session. I pulled it on you guys last minute. You've since gained some new abilities. Is there anything else, Quincy, that you got that is worth mentioning at level 5?
I didn't gain anything new, but some of my existing abilities, like Bardic Inspiration, for example, are just a little bit better, a little bit more powerful. Instead of a D6 that I can grant to my fellows, I can grant a D8.
Oh, cool.
The other one
Ooh,
that
that's
gives...
nice.
Yeah, so that'll help. And the other one that grants temporary hit points grants a little bit more temporary hit points. So I didn't get anything new other than third level spells. It's just everything else is just a little bit better. Oh, and I learned that I've been using my Bardic Inspiration incorrectly the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it actually only uses a bonus action.
So you've been using it as a regular action.
Oh yeah. So
Quincy's we've been playing hard mode.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways. At the same time, we are also doing away with the 5-foot step now that we're accidentally using.
Oh, I got so used to that. That might be difficult for me to remember.
Swain's dug something up.
Are we gonna do anything with the wild magic?
We decided. I discussed it with everybody individually, and after doing so, I think I decided I'm going to leave it the way it is.
All right.
There's inherent checks and balances in the game, and that's something. If we were what we're talking about, by the way, is increasing the wild mage, wild surge percentage in some way, shape, or form, and I think that I want to be a little bit more careful about it, just in case, for whatever reason, it is the way it is, and we just won't realize it until it's too late, type deal.
Yeah, I don't want it to get out of hand.
Yeah, who knows who knows what could happen. I'd want to test it a little bit first. Maybe we could do a side game and play around with it. But no extra attack or anything, right?
Nope. No extra attack.
Okay. Why don't we go over to Copernicus? Copernicus, you're level 5 now, Warlock. Anything exciting that you want to share, or do you want to keep anything close to your chest?
I'll let some out. I've got the innate drow ability of darkness now. I can cast that once per day.
Wow.
And then,
that's a 15-foot radius?
I would have to look it up. I think it's something like that, though. And let's see. I picked up Counterspell, and that's a reaction.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool. And my favorite new spell I picked up is Shadow Blade. So now I can summon my packed weapon, and then in my offhand summon the Shadow Blade, which has advantage to hit in dim or darkness. Nice. So even in complete darkness, I still would have advantage to hit. And it does 3d8 psychic damage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty potent.
And also on top of that, my packed weapon now, I picked up for one of my invocations, Thirsting Blade. So I can attack with my packed weapon 2 times per attack. So every time I go up to hit now, I get 2 attacks with my packed weapon, and if I have that Shadow Blade out, another swipe with that. So
a whirlwind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pumped about that. And then I picked up Vampiric Touch. That will heal me. It does 3d6 necrotic damage, and I get half that back as health. And I think the rest of them I'm going to keep under wraps.
There's more?
Well, what I did is I switched out a lot of the spells I had with new ones.
I see.
I'm still rocking the armor.
Can you do that?
I can only do one. I can only do one. Can you do a bunch?
I'm pretty sure I
You're a
can
prick.
do them all.
I hate that I can only do one. I'm jealous.
I'll look into that while you're telling us about what you picked up, Erame, but I'm pretty sure I can switch out as many as I want when I leveled up. As far as the invocations, yeah, I mean, that's totally separate. That's like a warlock thing.
I'm actually going to pass it over to Zavril before we get to Erame, just keeping it clockwise. Zaves, level 5. Anything good?
I don't know if I could really compete with Copernicus over
I know.
there.
I should have asked him last.
Being a ranger, I got a second attack per round, so... and then I did get an additional spell for a Monster Slayer spell. I got Zone of Truth. Essentially what it does is creates a zone, a 15-foot radius sphere, that anybody inside of it cannot lie.
Oh, damn.
Ugh.
Oh, sorry, cannot speak a deliberate lie.
Gotcha. And is that something where when you cast it, are they aware of it, or can you just do it on the sly?
They are aware of it. Anybody inside of the radius, whether they walk in or whether they start their turn, is aware that it is there. However, with that, they can avoid answering questions and try to deflect and stuff like that. But
Gotcha.
They can be evasive, but
That reveals just as much.
as long as it remains within the boundaries of truth.
Gotcha.
I just imagined accidentally like walking into it.
Everybody's quiet.
Spouting off an odd truth as soon as you walk through the.
Yeah, imagine that. I wiped my ass today with a leaf. Why did I just say that? Irme, what do you got going on? Level 5.
Well, 3rd level spells for one. I will share one of them with you.
Okay.
I gained one spell, known spell, so I added a 3rd level, and then I switched out a spell that I had for a new 3rd level spell. But you know what? I forgot the one. Forgot which one I gave up. I never used it.
Which is why you gave it up.
Yeah, which
I'm
is why I
sure.
gave it
Right.
up. But my new spell is Lightning Bolt.
Ooh, I think
Yeah.
we're all familiar enough with Lightning Bolt,
Yep.
but if you want to go ahead and describe it for our listeners who don't know.
I like spells like this because you get the dex saving throw, and even if they pass, you still do some damage. So
Right.
if they
Half
fail,
damage,
you
yeah.
get, yeah. So if they fail, it's 8d6.
Wow.
And if they pass, it's 4d6. So either way, it's
That's
pretty
substantial.
fucking awesome. I also gained a sorcery point, which is really cool. I can use those for a bunch of stuff. Empowered spell, quickening spell to change it to a bonus action. I can turn them in for an extra spell slot if I want.
Yeah.
So that's
wow.
super useful. And then, of course, the proficiency +1 added to my spell attack modifier and my spell save DC and all that stuff.
I am going to have to rewrite my encounters. Because you guys are going to light up everything now.
Hey, I didn't get much stronger over here.
An extra attack is
That's pretty awesome.
considerable.
An extra 1d4.
I am only supposed to switch out one spell.
Okay, so do you
So
need
I-
a moment?
Got a new spell. So if I switched out one, I got to put 2 back to the old ones. So yeah, I guess I do need a moment. But I can...
Yeah, take a moment, take your time. That's going to slow shit down for you, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'll
Get a
just
little
put...
I
enthusiastic.
knew you were getting a little fucking crazy over
I'll
there.
put Misty Step back. Well,
He's a sucker. He falls for Sybil's lies every time.
yeah.
You're so powerful, Copernicus.
Fuck, man. So the only one I'm going to lose then is I'm going to lose Counterspell. That's going to have to go back to whatever it was.
Oh, that was the one you were bragging about.
Yeah, Counterspell is going to be cool. Well, it's
Well, you
either
could switch one out.
either get rid of Counterspell or Vampiric Touch.
That's a tough choice.
The vampire
I
touch.
can see why the vampire touch would be your pick. I mean, anything that heals you is fucking sweet.
Right, it's concentration, so...
Spells are so tough because there's so many that are so awesome, but they're so situational.
Well, you said it was necrotic damage too, right?
Yeah, it does 3d6 necrotic, and I get half
Dude,
that.
that right there.
Yeah, that is pretty potent. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll revisit Counterspell.
Yeah, that's a nice little add to the drow finger.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, so I lost Thunderstep. That's one of the ones I was going to keep under wraps.
Ah, damn.
Thunderstep will go back
I was
to Misty
excited
Step.
about that one.
That
Yeah,
sounds like an
Thunderstep-
AC/DC song.
Well, I could grab somebody and teleport with them. Misty Step, only I could teleport. But the Thunder, I could teleport with one other person, and it does thunder damage when we leave the area.
Yeah, you were really excited about that.
I was
one,
pretty
too.
tempted by Blink, which puts you in the ethereal
Yeah,
plane
I
one
was
turn,
looking at
takes you
that
out the
too.
next turn.
People fucking disappear and make
Yeah.
themselves reappear. This is some bullshit.
Now I need to find what the fuck spell I had. I had Branding Smite. Fuck, I'm never going to use that either.
That must be all part of it. That must be why they put that one spell cap
yeah,
when you level,
it's
huh?
tough. Yeah,
so you don't go from fucking 0 to hero. Zimwabi did not level up. He's an NPC. He's going to be a little ways behind you guys, along with Inete.
Oh, you know what else I realized? I was playing with one less cantrip than I could have. I had 4. It turns out I could have had 5 even at the last level.
I thought we went over
Ooh,
that.
I better check that.
Yeah.
Check over it. We need to get our shit together here.
I know.
All right. Let's get into this. Episode 31. Grung Stomper. Oh, fucking name
What?
before we even began. I don't know. All right. You guys, you're paddling along.
Jesus.
And judging by the distance of the massive floating rock, you feel you're about a day away now.
Listen to your heart.
The journey this far has been it's been difficult at times, but you can't help but feel that you've lucked out somehow. Timora's will, perhaps. Who knows? But you definitely get the feeling that something is definitely helping you along. Irame, after paddling for your part of the day, you pass your paddle off to Copernicus, and you lean forward to rest your sore arms, and you feel your body tingle, a familiar feeling that occurs from time to time, usually at its height anyway, right before a wild surge. But there have been many times where they occur on smaller scales like this. And as you're noting the feeling, Zimwabi calls out, "We will need to stash the canoes and continue on foot if we are to remain in good form. If we do not, I fear travel will be far too exhausting, unless anyone has any better ideas." And sure enough, you're like, what the hell? You look out, and you actually subconsciously were just paddling along, but now that he had mentioned it, your arms are getting more sore than usual. You look over the edge, and the water of the basin in this area is beginning to get thicker with vegetation and muck. Let me move the... I see everybody looking up at the map. What's going on?
So are we moving 2 hexes a day or something?
In the canoe, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are our paddles like, getting into weeds or mud or?
We're getting swampy.
Yeah, it's like at this point in the basin, it's just getting thick. Either the water is low right now, or it's that type of water when you go kayaking that your boat's like just going along mud. And it's like lily pads and, it's just gunk. Yeah, it's getting difficult. It stinks to high heaven as you break the mud. All the decomposing sediments and stuff.
Do we see any signs of, like, those frogmen or anything like that? Any signs of, like, humanoid life, or is it just all
I think
jungle?
those frogmen were much further to the northeast.
Correct. That's what we were told. Just wishful thinking.
You hope to see a frogman, Copernicus.
They seem quite interesting.
Can I make a perception check at the sound of Zimwabi telling us to move it to land?
Yeah, you can make a perception check. You're glancing inland.
Yeah, I figure Irame
Yep.
would
You
look
go.
around.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
4.
Is that a natty 1 there?
Yep, that's what that is.
Wild mage surge.
Oh, shit!
Irame is going to look around, and upon seeing nothing, she's going to put her glasses on.
Yeah, for Irame, you go to inspect the shoreline, and a dragonfly that was following along behind you just keeps fluttering in front of you, distracting you from your cause. But Copernicus, you also said you looked out there and you were looking for frog people for some reason. But but when you do glance in there, you notice the lush forest darkens going forward. And you're not sure if it's because it's getting gradually thicker, or if some other force is at work creating this illusion.
Perhaps we are in the shadow of the heart.
Ooh, perhaps. Would you say mechanically it's dim light?
No.
Oh, damn. All right. I'm going to be asking that question a lot going forward.
No, it's not dim light yet. It's more of a feeling. I chalk it up to almost like in horror movies. They do that weird kind of visual, usually down a hallway.
It's like
where
tunnel.
It's like a tunnel vision, kind of zooming, but not. It's a looming forest. And mechanically, it's because you're entering the Undead Territory now.
So, we're to go on foot from here?
It's the way it seems. Now, you do have a choice. You could stay on the water. However, you will suffer exhaustion levels as you progress. And I believe we went over exhaustion levels and how bad they can become.
How they can stack up, yeah.
You know.
I think it's wise to follow Zimwobi's lead. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. Zavril?
I agree too.
It's not hard to tell that... Yeah, I mean, Zim would be with you guys either way. He was just making the suggestion. If you want to go forward, if you guys have the skills amongst you to handle the exhaustion, then you can continue. The other option is you can go on foot and move at a faster pace, which will cover 2 hexes in a day, but it'll leave you open for surprise ambushes. It's just another option if you wanted to maintain your pace. Otherwise, you're looking at 2 days travel if you take it to land.
I don't see a reason to push our pace, unless you guys have a reason for it. I mean, I say we go at a safe.
Yes, I do believe we should exercise caution.
All right, so it is agreed that you're taking it to land then, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you guys pull your boats up to land, and whoever... It's going to be a survival check to cover the canoes. Two among you can do this. So probably the two with the person with the highest survival, and then you could do it at an advantage when the other person helps you. And this is going to dictate how good you hid your stuff, your canoes.
All right, who wants to assist me?
Yeah, Quincy and Zavril will. So, how many canoes do we have?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think it must be 3, right?
3 now, yeah.
Yeah. So I had assumed that the non-survival people would be aiding the survival people, right?
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
That does make more sense. Because you got 3 canoes. I mean, 2 people can hide all.
Because then the people with the survivals will get advantage.
Okay, yeah. I'll aid you.
You want to do that? You want to do it like that, or you want 2 people to hide all 3, while the others are kind of?
I'm
going
sure
over,
between
so.
Zimwabi, Zavril, and I, we have good survivals, and then the rest of
Yeah, and then
Inete
Inete,
and
Copernicus,
them
and I can help.
Yep. Why don't we do it that way then? I'll roll for Zim. Zimwabi's got a killer survival.
All right.
Copernicus, you fool! That's not how you hide a canoe.
Here, mate, put your back into it.
I'll help. I just don't know what I'm doing.
You're on your own, Zavril. I'm helping Quincy.
19 for Quincy.
All right. So
There we go.
19 on one canoe.
I suck.
Did you get a 10?
Yeah, with my plus, my +4.
I'll help you, Zavril.
Yeah, Zavril, you have advantage.
Irame will walk over and put a leaf on the canoe.
Mr. Don Traco, wait for assistance.
Natty 19.
There we go.
Nice.
There you go.
You're welcome.
That leaf did it.
And Zimwabi
It's a big leaf. Elephant ear.
Zimwabi got a 23 as well. Natty 17.
All right.
So that's good. All your boats are covered pretty good. It would take somebody to beat that to find them.
And our supplies, I assume we cannot carry all of our supplies.
Between the lot of you, I think you can manage.
Yeah, we're
there's
gonna load up and
substantial
eat.
amount of you.
Yeah. Pack her up.
She's got to carry containers of boiled water.
Yeah, she's gonna look like one of those pilgrim guys on Dark Souls, the turtle looking like guys. I gotta bring those guys into this adventure somewhere, maybe sometime soon. So you guys take it to land, hide your canoes, pack Inete up. She's like, I'm coming, guys. We got to go a little slower. As you continue now, Zavril, the marks on the ground and trees indicate undead have been here within the past 2 days. As far as types of undead, you'd easily recognize zombies, skeletons, and ghouls. And you can only assume that there are others. At one point, you find a fresh carcass of a velociraptor. Bones have been picked clean.
Jeez. This place is terrifying.
So, as we head into the jungle, you guys would start to notice a strange thing with Copernicus. That it almost seems like there's bugs and flies kind of starting to just hang around him.
And Quincy is furthermore disgusted with Copernicus.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like there's like always like a little cloud of like horse flies
Pig
around
pen?
his head.
You got a pig pen thing going on?
Yeah. And it doesn't seem to bother him.
Copernicus,
All right.
did you not apply your insect repellent?
No, I did. I put it on this morning, like I always do. This is odd. I think it's Sybil's work.
You are referring to the cloud of insects surrounding you, Zimwabi says.
Yes, it seems Copernicus has made some new friends.
I would not take it lightly, Copernicus. We have seen the effects of the sickness that these insects could bring.
They don't seem to be eating my flesh. Not yet, anyways.
Well, we should keep an eye on them just in case. Should you require more insect repellent, we could muster some together.
I think Irme would find it a bit fascinating. She's probably going to be watching them intently, not grossed out or worried, but just curious. She has weird, quirky things like that happen to her all the time, so she's she's watching it.
As you're progressing, you're getting into the thick now. You notice a crumbled pile of stones, sticks, and bones semi-hidden under the jungle's growth. And Irme, you actually could guess that it was, some time ago anyway, a crude trail marker made by a primitive culture, or perhaps even a ward or a shrine that had been desecrated or otherwise destroyed by wildlife. Why don't we bust out, let's let the dice talk on this. Why don't you give me an investigation check as you notice this thing.
Irme's going to move towards it and say, it seems that at least at one point, something with intelligence occupied this area before the undead.
Sticks and stones and bleached bones. Would you roll, Irme?
16.
16 reveals. Irme pauses for a bit at this little structure, and she's just staring at it. And in your mind's eye, Irme, you are kind of rebuilding it, reconstructing it. And as you're doing so, maybe about 10 minutes later, right about to the point where you guys are kind of foot tapping, Irme, you realize that this, if constructed a certain way, could very well resemble the same ones that you've seen along the river heading to Taguda village. Do you remember those?
Yes. Did we think back then that they were markers built by the cannibals, or did we think they were
Potentially wards.
wards?
Yeah, I don't think
I think we were kind of, waffling on both.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that ever came to conclusion.
Conclusion?
Those things. I think it was still a floating topic.
So Irme will express that to the group, that this once resembled the wards we had seen on our way to Taguda village.
Zimwabi kneels down. Let me see that. Well, Irme, I think you are correct. He immediately begins touching them and putting them together and everything. And as he's doing so, one of the skulls kind of just breaks. It's so fragile, you know. These bones are very old.
Do you think that means it could have been built by the Yuanti, or that the wards built back where we saw them on our way to the village were older than the Yuanti?
That is a great question, Erame. When we first discovered them along the river heading towards Teguda, I was under a much different impression back then. I was believing them to be of Zinti, but having realized the Zinti were in fact under control of the Yuanti, it is hard to discover the truth in this.
Can we investigate check to see how old they are? Or something to get an age out of them? Because I'm thinking maybe they're older than all of this, like back to Rosensea or something.
Yeah, I think if you have an archaeologist, I think maybe Quincy might be able to discern that as an archaeologist, maybe.
Do you want me to make?
That's what archaeologists do, right?
Yeah,
they could do date checks and stuff on things.
Well, it seems clear to me that somebody was maintaining the ones on the way to Teguda village if this one has fallen to such decay, even if they're of the same age. My point is whoever built these was here then and is still here now.
They may not necessarily be the same people. It could be a form of, if it is some type of ward, then it could just be, it could be something known by multiple peoples.
A practiced magic.
Either way, last time we encountered undead when we saw these. So be on guard, Hunter.
Not to mention these ones are destroyed.
At that, Zim would be kind of leaves, nervously stops messing with them, and he kind of takes a step back. Says, I did not consider that. They are destroyed, and if they are wards, then perhaps we are in danger. We should move cautiously, just in case.
Would rebuilding the wards give us a little bit of safety at our back?
After investigating, I don't see that we could rebuild this. It took Irame a while to reconstruct it in her mind's eye alone.
And one of the skulls is broke now.
We need a skull. Copernicus.
You probably...
You have a skull,
you got
don't
one
you?
in your satchel?
I've only got rocks.
All right, then Quincy is just he's gonna keep his hand on his rapier, and he's gonna scan through the jungle as we move, just to try to keep an eye out. I think he feels a little more comfortable with the blade now than he did the first time in the jungle. Anyway, at least it makes him feel better.
Right. You venture the rest of the day without issue. And as far as setting up camp, there any precautions you wanted to take beyond the normal routine?
Beyond the bone
You're
line?
within the territory that Rosensea's abandoned undead army roams. Though, beyond tracks, you've yet to see anything of the like.
I mean, Quincy will once again cast, if we're setting camp,
Yep.
he'll once again cast Liamon's tiny hut.
Okay.
Does the canopy of the forest, I imagine you said it was really thick, we can't see the heart anymore, can we?
Here and there, you can still see it. You can
All
still
right.
make it out. But it is getting thick, which means night is actually coming sooner because of how thick the canopy is.
It's like the closer you get to the mountain, you can't see the mountaintop anymore, you know?
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
And just for Copernicus's sake, I can command the interior of the hut to be dimly lit.
Oh.
Ooh, nice. Nice. I thought about taking on a light spell.
Cappy cracks his one finger.
The drow finger.
I can't see in here. Raise the light.
13 hammer.
Cappy's birthday's coming up.
Early that morning, Inete approaches you, Quincy.
Inete, it is a beautiful morning.
She nods. Mr. Fallow, may I speak with you a moment?
I'm going to look around and make sure that we have some privacy.
Yeah, she looks kind of strung out a little bit.
Yes, of course.
Good. I I had a vision during my rest, and at first the red-robed figures were absent, replaced by a woman cloaked in darkness. Her face was frightening, Quincy, and the feeling I had when she looked upon me even more so frightening. There was a bright flash after that of iridescent light, and then I noticed Irame peering over the edge of a cliff, gazing down upon a massive city, and next to her was a small creature, a dragon of sorts, with the wings of a butterfly. I do not know what to make of it. From there, I was surrounded in darkness, and then, of course, one by one, the red-robed men, they would appear, until I was completely surrounded by even them. I know it sounds ridiculous, Quincy, but it was so real. Could this be a clue to what you seek?
It does speak to me. Do you feel that Irame was in danger?
She did not appear so.
And the woman that you saw?
I've never seen her before.
I forgive me, I do not know how these things work, but would she be aware that you had seen her? Is this the kind of thing that, if such a woman were to exist, she would be aware of your presence?
I am still learning as I go down this road. However, it is all possible. It could explain why I was so frightened. However, she was so hideous. Perhaps it was just I had never seen anything like that before.
It is this woman. I believe she is a source of evil.
There was something dark about her.
I trust your vision, Inete. I recognize the symbols. I recognize the people. Even the little dragon friend that sat beside Irame.
Interesting. You've met such a creature.
We have, floating down the river. When we had first arrived here in the peninsula.
So then it makes some sense then. A part of me thought, anyway, that I could be going crazy.
The dragon creature, the woman, I do not know what your vision means, but there are forces that I am familiar with.
Well, I do know Savris sometimes chooses to release his answer in small parts. Just maybe more will reveal itself as we continue.
I thank you very much for confiding in me. I do believe it is very important that we learn more about this woman, this source of evil.
I am beginning to feel that your destination is closely aligned with the red-robed figures I have come to investigate. We shall see.
We have spoken of these red-robed figures, Inete, and I'm afraid I don't quite have the impression of whether or not you feel they themselves are evil, or if they are something else.
There is definitely something evil about them. However, I am not frightened by them, normally. Anyway, there are some instances, and it can be difficult to tell if it was, if it's my interpretation or if it's a message of sorts that I am misinterpreting. However, these red-robed figures are either somewhat evil, or whatever they are doing could cause some calamity of sorts. They are casting rituals. They are working on something. In this area, I feel it is important to discover what exactly it is.
I could not agree more. I've always felt uncomfortable with the gods, anything regarding the gods, dealings, clerics, but I do believe I must get over my personal perspective if we are to figure out what is going on here and prevent something horrible from happening.
I can understand, though you should know that since coming here to Chult anyway, both my grandfather and I, we have felt a certain disconnect to Savris, and I have spoken with other members of other deities, and they feel the same. There are legends and stories, of course, of God's domains and such, they still have some reign, obviously, if we are to use their prayers or their miracles. But perhaps Savras would be a little bit more forthcoming had it not be for this divide.
So you say that the presence of the gods their influence is weakened here on the peninsula.
I am saying that.
I feel that there is something ancient here. I don't know if it's related to that, but it does feel that this place belongs to something older.
Well, I believe that when Uptau had reign here, it was very much his land. Since Uptau had left, you would think the other gods would rein it in eventually, but because they are unable to, something tells me that at least some sliver of Uptau, or something equally powerful, still resides somewhere on this peninsula.
And what think you of the night serpents?
Dendar, I pay no heed to such a tall tale. It has been a bedtime story since I can remember. Even my grandfather considers it a bedtime story. There is just no real texts other than Yuan-Ti who speak of such things, where there's no real evidence to unless you believe in Yuan-Ti propaganda, which I can understand why some would. They are very serious people and very evil. Sometimes I wonder why we deal with such a race.
I do not entirely know what I believe anymore, Inete. But I do know that I still feel what is right and what is wrong inside of me. And this woman that you had dreamed of, well, her name is Sybil. And I do not trust her, and I get a bad feeling about her.
Sybil, you have met this person. You have seen this woman.
Her shadow hangs over us.
Oh, there was something about her, Quincy. I hope I never lay eyes upon her.
Well, we must do what we can to prevent that. I thank you for taking my request seriously and taking the time to look into this.
Well, I am invested now, Quincy. We will see it to end. I promise.
I feel better knowing we have a new ally. And I guess, and then, we'll make our way back to the group, maybe with some kind of...
People trying to spoil your plans.
Maybe with some kind of resource or something, some kind of cover-up,
Keep coming back with logs and shit.
Logs, yeah, firewood, water, whatever.
No, Inete, I will not make out with you in the woods.
Just play along. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to discuss or go over?
We don't really have like a battle plan because we don't really know what the hell we're getting into here with this floating rock.
Well, what do you know?
Right. What do we know? We know this is Undead Territory. There's broken markers that maybe worked as a ward. Those are gone. We've got this giant floating rock that way up in the sky. We don't know how we're going to get up to it, and we're looking for Red Road wizards. I think that about covers it, right?
There was something else, too, that you got from the Flaming Fist mercenaries. Another piece of information. Everyone's looking at me like there was.
I'm trying to
just
recall.
listened to it, too. That's why I'm like, oh, no, I just listened.
They had mentioned that there was a dark creature that either lived in the heart or in the vicinity of the heart. Do you guys remember that
They
at
said
all?
that?
There was
Stendar.
Oh, no.
Yes.
It can't be Dendar.
Night serpent.
This place would be crawling with you, Auntie, don't you think?
So beyond that, I mean, those are all the pieces you got. What else was there? There was the tale from Zimwebe's childhood about the men on large birds that were heading towards Uptau's heart
Which makes
to
sense.
pay
Flight.
homage. Yeah, to pay
Get to that
homage.
heart.
to Oopdow.
Irame is going to notice when the heart is out of her vision, when she can't see it through the jungle canopy, she finds herself wanting to see it. For some reason, she wants to keep it in sight. I don't know if it's maybe it's because she doesn't want to get lost. She likes to, always have a point of focus, but she finds that every time that she can't see it and starts to yearn to see it, she begins to feel very funny, very light.
Lightheaded or?
No, light in general, light-footed.
Oh.
Very
sneaky?
No, not sneaky. Almost as if her body becomes lighter.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Interesting. Do we notice any of Arame's behavior? Are you sharing that with the group?
No, I'm not sharing it. I'm just yes, I'm sharing it, but I don't think that anybody would pick up on it.
Right.
Travel continues. And a few hours in, Zimwa B stops abruptly. And he's looking ahead, squinting. And you look in that direction. You focus. You see a small humanoid hanging from a large tree.
By a rope or
It's been hung?
or from its limbs?
You move closer to investigate. You see that it's hanging from a vine. And the vine is wrapped around its neck. And it's a halfling. It looks like he's been dead for at least a day.
You hate halflings, don't you?
I fucking hate him. Hi there. Hello there.
I thought you were dead.
I'm a dead halfling. I suck.
The name's Willow Ufgood.
I'm Willow Wump. All right. He's got Kaya.
I hate trolls.
He's got a bunch of tiny arrows sticking out of him. Most are populated in his torso, but there's tiny arrows even stuck in the tree, stuck in his arms, a couple in his face, his legs, but there's a large collection of arrows in his chest.
Cappy will summon his packed weapon and try to cut him down if you can.
You could definitely cut him down. Boom, body falls to the ground. And he's definitely been... Why don't you do a medicine check or something? Give me some. Let's let the dice talk. Figure out how long he's been dead, or
I'll check him out. 19 adjusted.
yes, he's definitely. He died from hanging. Right, hanging killed him. The arrows were they were fucking shooting at him after he was dead.
Brutal.
And he's been dead for a day.
Oh, freshy.
Fresh.
Yes.
Looks like anything of value was stripped from him.
Quincy will take a look around to see if there was anybody else, if it was just the halfling or if there are any other prints around, if he was traveling with anybody.
Yep.
A hung halfling.
That's an 18 on the survival.
You look around and you do see tracks here and there. They were difficult to spot at first, but with your roll, you managed to make out the tracks of. They look like frog tracks, but larger.
Mr. Don Tracker, come here.
I knew there was frogs around here.
Look what I have found. And he will show Zavril first. He's calling Zavril's attention because he knows Zavril is a better tracker than he.
I will go and join him.
All right.
What do you think, Mr. Don Tracker?
Yeah, after looking at them, after carefully investigating the scene, it looks like there was at least 6 of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, how many? What direction are they traveling? We can tell they're fresh.
It looks like there was at least 6 of them. They're definitely fresh. They're within the day.
Can we tell the size or...
They're small creatures, probably the size of the halfling. Their feet match his tracks.
Do the size of the arrows match like a small bow?
Yes.
Small creature's bow. Copernicus, it seems you might get your wish after all.
Yes, indeed. They're just little people, though, huh? I thought they'd be bigger.
That's funny. I also thought they'd be bigger. But they appear armed. I do not think they were friends with this halfling. Or were they? Or does it look like they were, like, skirmishing? Or
You kick the halfling over, and there's actually lash marks all over his back.
Jesus. Irme is upset.
They really roughed them up.
boy, you really don't like halflings.
that Christy just appeared with her glass of wine behind everybody. Jesus.
Yeah. Every now and again, Irame disappears and Christy comes in. Yeah, there's looks like whiplash. Maybe 12 or 13 whiplashes on his back.
This is terribly disturbing. So he was tortured, hung till he was dead, and then used as target practice?
It would appear so. These frog creatures. Zimwabi has heard of such a thing, but has never seen or encountered one.
They are much closer than the Flaming Fist would have had me believe, anyway. We should be on our guard.
Absolutely. I think I'd rather run into the Flaming Fist at this point. Irame would actually like to look at one of the arrows quickly. She would be interested in seeing, as an anthropologist, what they're making their tools out of.
They look like primitive arrows.
Stone arrowheads.
Flint arrowheads.
Any poison? Any hint of poison I can detect?
Why don't you give me a nature?
As she's pulling a arrow from the tree, being careful not to touch the tip, Irame will say, I don't know much of frog people, but many frogs are indeed poisonous. 13.
You do notice there is a thin coating on the flint heads. It could very well be a poison of sorts.
Watch your stepping and don't touch the arrowheads. There is a poison on them.
And now, looking at the hole that you pulled the arrow out of, you do see the wound is oozing with some sort of toxin. You know, some sort of, there's definitely some sort of toxin or poison or something that had invaded his body as well.
Right, on top of everything else.
Yeah.
Are we on like a path? Or are we just like blazing through the...
Yeah, you're forging the jungle.
Okay, we're bushwhacking, and then the way these tracks are leading, are they...
You're in it, you came to a small clearing at most. Right. I don't know if I'd even call it a clearing. It's still difficult terrain. Well, this little area around the tree, I wouldn't say it's difficult terrain. Probably you're in like maybe a 25 to 30 foot clearing. With just ferns and shit around you.
The way we plan on going, though, are we going to be like following these tracks, or are they going off their own way?
You actually can't see that they even left.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
And at that...
Oh, great.
Don't you think that would have been a relevant piece of information?
Irame pulled out the arrow. These are poisonous, and they start winging through the jungle.
So, you hear a strange chirping sound coming from the jungle. And at that, the ground beneath you becomes an entanglement of thorny vines. We'll see you next time.
Oh, fuck.
Bullshit.
Is it a chirrup?
A ribbit.
How do you spell
Chirp.
it?
CHIRRUP.
Oh, I don't know that word.
You making
Chirrup.
words up?
Nah, it's got to be like, one of those noises peepers make or some shit, right?
Chirp.
A chirp.
Chirp. Chirp.
Or like crickets.
Yeah.
The,
That's just a plain chirp.
how do you spell chirp?
CHIRP.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see
Was it a chirp or a chirp? A chirp.
Can you spell it backwards? There's that fucking show with NPH.
We suck.
Way too sidetracked. I don't know why anyone listens to us.
He hasn't listened to you for years.
Me,